Good afternoon. Welcome to the tea table. I am so happy you've joined me today. We are going to go across the ocean and on a long train trip to the wonderful city of Budapest, Hungary. And I've chosen for my music a lovely Brahms piano sonata. Johannes Brahms is beloved in Budapest, Hungary. There are streets named after him. Yes, the Hungarian people are some of the most colorful people I have ever met. They love their music. They are known for their gypsy music and incredible performances and presentations by the gypsies. This is not just street musicians or coffee shop musicians. These are actually, many of them go to conservatory now and they're well trained and they play with such heart and emotion and inspiration. I have a CD somewhere. I could not find it, but on another talk I will share it with you, of a lovely, beautiful restaurant we went to on a Saturday night. And it was everything you would imagine a Vienna restaurant to be. They give detail attention to their decor and very royal colors. You know, they had a king and queen and for many, many years. And then they also had, they were part of the Hungarian Austrian Empire. And they have royalty in their blood. And they love everything that has that stately glory, beauty, costume, color, crowns. Each of the places I visited, I was so struck with the architecture and the design. Well, if you haven't gotten your tea, please pause and go get it. And I will be waiting for you right here. Well, let's start with our tea first. I have chosen a special tray filled with beauty. I put a candle on because we're now in autumn, and when you have tea, it's fun to have a candle. And I had this little set sitting on my table with other tea things. And I have had several people come in my home and point to this set and say, that is the set you should use next time on your tea talk. So here it is. And I added to it, I will take off my china cup because I thought the Hungarians love their flowers and they put so much decoration on everything. This is a cup that would be so perfect for them with the iridescent and the color and the shape and everything about it. And I'm going to show you this is the creamer. It's got a lot of design, a lot of swirls and hearts, and this is the sugar. A lot of sugar. They like their sugar there. And this is the pot. And it's I think I've used this at other tea talks with you. It kind of reminds me of an Aladdin's lamp pot. And here's my tea. And then I decided I'm going to put this picture. I love this beautiful. It's Bavarian, but the Bavarians and the Austrians and the Hungarians, they blend so many things together. And I think I told you on another tea talk that an elderly Austrian gentleman had told me that to be a real Austrian, you need a touch of German, Hungarian, Russian, Lithuanian, Polish, Czechoslovakia, Bulgaria. Because if you look at the map, you will see Hungary sits with all these countries around it, and then Vienna, Austria, is to the far east in Austria. And so that is the gateway to all of this. Plus the Danube River. Remember when we talked about the Orient Express that started in London or Paris and then would go through Munich or Berlin to over to Vienna, and then the next stop was Budapest, and then keep going. Okay, so everything went through Budapest. Well, the same way on the Danube River. The Danube River starts way up north, comes down through Germany, through Austria, comes right into Hungary. And Hungary, right into Budapest, Hungary. And Budapest is a big word for my little children, tea children that are listening. It's really two words. It's Buda and Pest. And the Danube River runs down the middle, and on one side is Buda and the other side is Pest, but they are one city. And they are connected with beautiful bridges. So many beautiful bridges designed by famous people from around the world. My favorite bridge, or perhaps I didn't go over all of them, so I couldn't really have a favorite, but it was a spectacular bridge designed by a Scottish man. And then when you come in the train station, you could be in any era. At that time when I was there in 2011, the entry to the train station where people would come from the street had been fully restored with gold and creams, and I can't even describe. The room was like what you would see in a Russian palace. Absolutely spectacular. But then the actual train station where the tracks were and the train came in hadn't been touched yet. And it could have been World War I. It could have been turn of the century. It could have been World War II. And I thought, if walls could talk. And then I looked up, and the design of the actual train station is so amazing. And it's done by Mr. Eiffel. You've heard of the Eiffel Tower in Paris? Well, he designed the train station in Budapest, Hungary. And it has similar lines. The windows go up. I could see his touch. He had his own stamp that swirl up and the cutouts. It was, I've never been in a train station like that. And I've been in a lot. I used to go every day when I lived in London and worked at Buckingham Gate. I used to go in every day to the Victoria train station, which is also very historical. It's the one you take to go to all of Westminster Abbey, St. James Park, the Buckingham Palace, because it's that area. But this train station has something I've never seen before. You could look it up and study it, because this is what I was thinking today is so fun about my tea talks. If there is something I mention that you want to know more about, we live in the day of Google. You can look it up and research it yourself. Isn't that great? Now I need to take a taste of my tea. Very nice. Savor the tea. Enjoy. Well, you know, my daughter and I were together. We were actually with her violin teacher, Helen, the great Helen. Oh my, Helen is a story herself. I would like to do a talk on Helen. She grew up in Berlin during the World War II. She was a young girl and went to the Hochschule to study violin from her home on the train. They lived in a beautiful home. Her father was in charge of one of the hospitals in Berlin. And he was half Swedish and half German. And he was a very fair man and a very kind man. And no matter who the prisoner was in his hospital or no matter who the patient was, Helen said, he always said, everyone gets the same amount of care. Everyone gets the same amount of food. It's a very Scandinavian principle, and he was Swedish. Well, Helen used to go to the Hochschule, and she played the Beethoven violin concerto at the age of 14, a real achievement. Her story is amazing. Anyway, we love her so much, and she's gone on now. She's in heaven, but she gave us so much. She taught all of my children. Well, Helen's daughter, Karen, had a music camp, or has a music camp in Vienna. Her daughter went to live in Vienna and taught at the University of Vienna. Music, piano, pipe organ. She's a phenomenal pipe organist. Well, we were with them in Budapest. And so Helen had been there before, and Karen, and they took us around, and we had a tour. And we got on a tour with a French guide. And I have to say, he is the best tour guide I have ever had on any tour. He literally went over the top. He took us places beyond the tour and crammed so much into the day. And we got to see the architecture, the parliament buildings, the palaces that sit on the Danube. You can look this up in Budapest. I do not think there is a city with more beautiful architecture than Budapest, Hungary. It is amazing and miraculous that it survived, because this country was occupied twice. They suffered greatly. The Allies and the Germans were fighting over their heads, and there's still damage to some buildings you can see that reflect, World War II, World War I. Then they were occupied, and they're freedom-loving people, and they had a great stand-up for our country in 1956, and many fled, and many of the great, great people that we have helping our world came from Hungary. And I'll tell you why I was thinking about this so much. My husband and I just watched again. We've loved this movie all through the years. Our kids love it. The Scarlet Pimpernell, the 1935 black and white version. And I believe that Leslie Howard is the most perfect Scarlet Pimpernel. Well, did you know Leslie Howard's father was a Hungarian Jew who fled and found freedom in England, and that's where Leslie Howard was born and raised. Then the lady that wrote the Scarlet Pimpernel, Baroness, you can look her up. She was a Hungarian aristocrat countess in the royal line, and had owned houses and lands and been raised in a wealthy situation. When the forces came in to take away their freedom, she and her family fled, and they fled to England. There was England. England was there, the beautiful island, safe place for these people. And she had all her titles, but she was penniless. She had no money. So she started writing books. And some of them people liked a little bit. But when she wrote The Scarlet Pimpernel, it hit an absolute bell. And it went ringing. And everyone fell in love with The Scarlet Pimpernel. And it became a play. And then it became movie, and there have been other movies made that I just could never watch anything but my 1935 because it's so quintessent. It is the essence of everything beautiful. And it's set in the French Revolution. And Percy, who is the star, he is the Scarlet Pimpernel, is almost like a Sherlock Holmes. He's underneath rescuing people from death, rescuing the aristocrats from the guillotine from France. It's a fabulous movie. And I noticed again, at the very end, he quotes that fabulous poem that ends, England. It's the island, England. And I believe it's from Shakespeare's play, Richard II, where it says, the island in the sea that sits and, is waiting for me. I am paraphrasing, but you can look it up. And then he says, but England. And it's just the most famous poem, this great land that opened its arms to let people come in when they were in dire straits and fleeing for freedom, willing to leave everything behind. Well, so then I find out there's another very famous Hungarian. So she was Hungarian, the writer of the book. Leslie Howard's Hungarian, the famous actor in the play. Then Alexander Korda, who is an amazing Hungarian man who he and his family fled. His brothers ended up in England. They were creative people and they were involved in film. And Winston Churchill liked what Korda did and he tapped him. And they worked on many, many, many films together during World War II to appeal to people to get on board and help. And so there you have Alexander Korda. And there are so many Hungarians that have contributed so much to America. And they have a love for art, creativity, color. And I feel like what I'm wearing today is what a Hungarian lady would wear to tea. They are not waiting for anyone to give them permission. They are going to take their opportunity and they are going to dress as nicely as they can to give color and beauty to the world. Now, I have a few little things. Now, I thought this would be the perfect little purse to take to the Hungarian tea room today. And it has a strap that seems to want to tangle on things sometimes, but it's a darling little strap. And then I thought, there would be black gloves involved. I know there would be a lace glove involved at the tea, and then it would be put on before the tea and then possibly removed for the tea. See, a little black glove. And I was looking around and I discovered I have some really fun little, kind of like show and tell for the kids. This is a little Hungarian doll. And she's made out of natural things. She's made like maybe someone made her. She's a little farm girl. And they're famous for their fabulous Hungarian goulash. All over Europe, the best thing I found to order, the safest thing, was Hungarian goulash. In Austria, in Germany, and you can get it hot, mild, or sweet. It's spicy, you know, so it's hot, mild, or sweet. And it's hunks of beef, kind of a stew over a kind of a bulgur or sometimes potatoes. Very hearty, but very healthy, very nutritious. And here is something, I couldn't believe I found this. This is my daughter's that she left here. That's a picture of Budapest and the buildings, and that is the beautiful Danube River. You see that? You see the whole thing? And that's just part of their buildings. Then this is something fun that I got there. I picked up. It's for a salad, and it has the boy and the girl in their costumes. Actually, it's two girls in the costume. No, I thought it was the boy and the girl. It is the boy and the girl in their costumes. That's what it is. Okay. And then this is my daughter's. It's a little box, but it's a little doll. It's a little Hungarian doll. Their costumes are gorgeous. I love the headdresses. The Russians have those too. They have those fabulous headdresses. And then this is like a little bag, or it's an imitation. It's real leather, and it says on there Budapest. It's like a little bag. They're famous for their little, I'll show you in a minute what they're really famous for. Then they had these boxes, and do you know, I cannot figure out how to open them. They're called little secret magic boxes, but they have their hinge. My daughter figured it out. You push a button or something and it pops, but it's kind of to hide your little things in your house, and it's unique to Budapest. And then I do love this little purse. I think it is so sweet, and it's black velvet on the back. And it just has the personality. They always put a little bit extra on, which I like. I like the extra. This is a Hungarian vase. And you see how fancy it is. Now, also in Czechoslovakia, they make vases like this, but this one is Hungarian. Do you see they put the gold? I'll have to hold it back here a little bit. See, they put the gold on it, and it's actually red glass, and then they paint the gold and put the flowers on. And these, I think, truly are my last roses of summer. I said they were last week, but I found these. And I found these greens. Now, this is not fir. It is not cedar. It's not balsam. I don't know what it is. It grows on a bush down south of here. My husband and I were down south of here a couple hours, southern Washington. And they grow in a bush, and I grabbed a few last year. They will stay green, I tell you, forever, and they smell. But they don't have the smell of pine or cedar. They're unique. I have to find out what they are. And when I do, I will tell you, okay? Okay. And I put a little candle out because I just thought it's autumn and this candle has a lovely, beautiful scent, wonderful scent. Now, this is my I made a special tea tray for today. This is a 3-tiered treats. Now, I'm going to tell you what's on here because this is very Hungarian. And I don't want to drop it, so I'm going to try to hold it careful here. On the very top, That is called Havla. Have you ever heard of Havla? It is smashed sesame with sugar. It's like a candy almost. It's what they eat all through the Middle East, up into Bulgaria, up into Hungary. It's very popular and it's very healthy. It's an acquired taste. You might not like it at first, but you will eventually. And then the second shelf, I have little cookies. These are Sesame Cookies. These were all brought to me. A friend came and she went to a Russian bakery that was carrying all these unique imports. These are, and then here is the bread. You make, usually on a 3-tier, you put the savory here, the little sandwiches, tea sandwiches. Here you would have either the scones or the cookies, and then whatever is the sweetest is on top, a little cake. Now this is Lithuanian brown bread. I sliced it very thin, which would be very similar to what you would get in Budapest with the cheese and then a little touch of green pepper. They use a lot of green peppers and tomatoes in Budapest. Yes. So there you have it. And I wish I could give each of you one of these. Sorry, just pretend, okay? And then this is something that I think the tea kids will really like. Helen gave me this before she moved back to Vienna. And this is an authentic Hungarian. It's what the shepherds carried. Do you see it's fur and leather, the kind of leather that, I think it's deer leather because it reminds me of what is on the German lederhosen, and that's deer leather. And then it's got the cozy little fur. And what it is, it's a flask to carry water. Because, you know, there's no drinking fountains when you go climbing in the Hungarian mountains. So you have to carry this. And this has nothing in it now. And you know what? It's not light. You have to be strong to carry something like this. This weighs a couple pounds. Plus you put the water in, you know? So I'm going to put that down. And then what I had wanted to tell you was one little story about Budapest. And I'm wearing these flowers because I just think that's what they would wear. Okay, we got to go and hear the gypsies play. And then the next day was Sunday and we wanted to go to church. So Karen, who's the great pipe organist, said, let's go to St. Matthew's Cathedral. Oh, it's the most beautiful cathedral. It's in the old city. And if you watch the movie Sissy, they film that cathedral on site when Sissy and her husband are getting crowned the Empress and Emperor of Austria, Hungary. It's in that movie. It's all dramatized out. And that cathedral, the walls of it are so different. I say it's East meets West. It was not Eastern Orthodox, but it had touches of that. It had mosaics. Oh my goodness. I think 5 pipe organs were in the church. And the minister it was all in Hungarian and we didn't understand it, but we felt God's love. The Holy Spirit was so powerful. We all just felt like crying. It was so moving. It felt so like we were lifted up to another level above all of the little troubles here. And I remember sitting there and just the music, the choirs, the pipe organ, it was so holy. It was beautiful. It doesn't matter what country you go to, you have a family. If you love God and you know Jesus, you have a whole family all over the world and you can meet these people. We not only have a family here right now around the world, we have a heritage. we have an incredible ancestry. All the saints of all the ages, we're all connected. That's what the Bible says. The Bible said they went before, but they're a great cloud of witnesses. Hebrews says that. The great cloud of witnesses, and it says Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, the prophets. Then we have the New Testament, we have the apostles, the 12 apostles. Then we have the early church. Then we have all the saints of the Middle Ages, St. Patrick, St. Columba, St. Benedict, Bernard of Clairvaux, my favorite, that I started with months ago on this talk. He's my hero. I love Bernard of Clairvaux. I love everything about him. He has a heart that really loves God. And Martin Luther said Bernard of Clairvaux is his favorite person in church history also. So you can find these people that are really part of your family. And we have no reason not to have strong, powerful identity. You know, identity is a word used in psychology, and what it means is that each one needs to know who they are and have an identity. Well, when we're Christians and we know God, we have an incredible identity. We should be very confident and very strong in knowing who we are, because it's not about us. We're part of something so much bigger, and it's all a gift. We didn't do it. We received it. It was God's grace and love. So that is why we can do things and we can be happy even if circumstances aren't perfect, because we are going to see the bigger picture. Yes, that God's there, He cares, and this too shall pass, and He promises all things work together for good to them that love God and are called according to His purpose. What a promise. Well, I thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you for all your sweet notes. And I really appreciate your communication. And I want you to feel so free to share this tea talk with others. This is for everyone. And it'd be very nice if you would like to subscribe, to go to my website, Susan Shoemaker Tea Talks. It's up there. And you push subscribe, and then there'll be a little bell. It says notification, push notification, and then push the like. And then there's a share button if you want to share with a friend, someone you think might be encouraged to know that there are other people that are thinking like them, you know? There's strength in community, and there's strength in the support of one another. I just thank you again so much for joining me, and I pray you have a beautiful week, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. I think I have a little PS. My PS is this: if the people you share my tea talk with would like to go back, all of my tea talks are on YouTube. They're all online, and they can see all of them. So it's so fun. You can catch up, and no one misses anything. I love it. Okay. God bless.